Hello and welcome everybody to Sharp Knife Shop's YouTube channel. I'm your host Gage, and in today's episode we are doing another Battle of the Blades series video. In today's video we are going to be comparing Nakiris to each other. Specifically, we will be comparing the Shiro Kamo Aogami Super Nakiri, the Kato-san, again Aogami Super Nakiri, and the Mazaki 165 Shirogami number 2 Nakiri. So without further ado, let's get into the specs on all these knives. First off, as I said in the intro, this is a Aogami Super knife from Shiro Kamo. It has a stainless cladding. It's got a really nice tall blade on it. If you've watched our channel for any length of time, you've probably watched our what is the best Nakiri video, in my opinion. And in my opinion, this is the one that I chose. So we'll see how it stands up to the other two knives that we're comparing it to. We didn't have these in stock at the time of shooting that last video, so who knows, things could change. Really beautiful knife. I always appreciate a nice tall blade. I feel like it just makes me a little more comfortable when I'm doing the up and down chopping. Again, this guy's got a stainless cladding on it, so not the worst maintenance in the world, especially not as bad as an ironclad knife. So only like the very edge of this knife could possibly rust. You'll notice there's sort of like a wavy line close to the edge of the knife, and that's the clad line where the stainless steel layer comes to an end, and only beyond that point could this knife rust. So really thin blade, both at the spine and behind the edge. So one of the big reasons that I picked this guy was just that. I find that these really thin blades really move well through ingredients, especially harder ingredients like root vegetables, sweet potato, carrots, squash, all that sort of stuff. It does definitely make the blade a little bit more delicate, so you got to be a little bit more careful with a knife like this, but really high performing knife. Spine on this knife, again, is really thin, as is the choil here. Not the nicest sanding job on the spine here, a little bit sharp. Yeah, like hard to argue that it's not like a little bit on the sharp end there, but again, I don't super notice it. And when the knife is super sharp, I find you really shouldn't have to be applying too much pressure down with this guy. So I have one of these at home. I use it all the time. I keep it quite sharp, so I never have any issues with the padding on my finger here. But if it bothers you, it might be worthwhile just giving it a quick sand in the choil and on the spine on this guy. Beautiful handle on it, walnut with a maple spacer and ebony ferrule. A little bit slender of a handle, suitable for righties and lefties. It's octagonal in shape. And really cool sort of tang stuff happening here in the choil. The choil and the spine both meet the tops and bottom of the handle here, so you've got no gap like you'll find on most Nakiris. I don't find it changes the feel of the knife too much in my opinion. And again, I really like the feel of this knife. Quite light overall. Balance point is right about here, so about maybe an inch and a half from the handle and tang insertion point, and maybe just a touch forward of the pinch grip. Very light overall knife, so yeah, and you guys know how I feel about this knife. It's going to be hard to beat this one, I think, today. Next, we've got the Yoshimi Kato Aogami Super Stainless Clad Kurouchi with cherry handle, black pakkawood ferrule. Beautiful knife as well. Decent size to the height of this blade. Certainly not as tall as the Shiro Kamo, but certainly not slouching in that regard. Really nicely sanded down at the spine and in the choil here. Feels really nice in the hand. Feels quite a bit smaller than the Shiro Kamo. Obviously, with a slightly shorter blade, it's inevitably going to feel that way. Space between the choil and handle is maybe about 5/8 of my finger is fitting in there. Not quite 3/4, but feels really nice in the hand. The handles on these guys are a little bit chunkier than the Shiro Kamo handles are, but again, feels really nice in the hand. Tiniest little bit more weight to it than the Shiro Kamo. Balance point is right here. So basically in the exact same spot as on the Shiro Kamo, about an inch and a half away from the handle. maybe a little closer to where your pinch grip would be on this guy. So if you like a knife that's really just sort of like balanced right at the midpoint, this guy's gonna be right up your alley. Still bounce a little bit further forward than halfway, but yeah, it feels really good. Last but not least is the Mazaki Kurouchi Shirogami #1. I want to say it's Shirogami #2, but yeah, again, Jake will correct me if I'm wrong here. Heat treat on these guys is really, really good. Gets up to around 63, 64, if I'm not mistaken. One of the things that makes Mazaki-san's work really special, among many other things, but the heat treat he gets on his knives is really, really nice. This guy's definitely the chunkiest, sort of like weightiest of the three. The handle is octagonal in shape, so suitable for righties and lefties, but it's definitely got the most chunk to it. I really like the feel of it. I think it feels really great in the hand. Quite thick out of the spine here, and pretty thick at the choil here as well, but the edge geometry on this guy is really, really nice. It gets nice and thin behind the edge. So I suspect this guy will still have a really, really, really nice cutting feel. This is the only ironclad knife that we're looking at today. So the whole entirety of this blade could rust if you don't keep it dry and clean. So I would say that maybe Mazaki-san's work isn't for the beginner into carbon steels, but the Kurouchi finish will help a little bit with that. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. If you're looking for a slightly easier maintenance, maybe this knife is not the one for you. Balance point on this guy, a little bit further forward than on the other two. So I would say maybe about 1.5 inches, getting close to like 1 3/4 away from the handle. Your pinch grip is going to be about like a 1/2 inch or 1 inch behind that balance point. Really makes this knife feel forward balanced. So I suspect that's really going to make the up and down chopping really easy with this guy, which is great because that's typically how you use a Nakiri. So handle on this guy is really nice as well. No glaring issues to me. Again, a little on the chunkier side. Magnolia with walnut ferrule. We've had some feedback on Mazaki-san's knives that the handles are not to everyone's taste, but we've also had some people say once we started making people aware of that opinion of some of our customers, people are kind of pushing back against that, saying that they actually really like the handles. So much like any knife, it really is your personal preference. If you prefer something a little more slender, then maybe this guy's not the one for you. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get into some chopping tests. We're gonna put them through 4 tests today. Four. We're gonna put these guys through 3 tests today, those being the carrot test, the onion test, and the scallion test. I find I chop scallions with my Nakiri a lot, so I feel like that's always a good thing to test on. And then of course the onion and the carrot I feel like are necessary ingredients to test a knife on. They tell you so much about the edge geometry and just overall sort of handling of the knife. So we'll do the carrot and the onion test as well. Let's go. Another really cool thing about the Battle of the Blades series is that we will be putting all of the knives that we use in these videos on sale on the website. So if you're looking to pick up one of these guys and you don't mind that it's been gently used, you can pick it up for a great deal. We will of course be sharpening them and polishing them up as best we can before we send them out to you. Shiro Kamo 165 Aogami Super Stainless Cladding Nakiri Carrot Test. Here we go. Before we start again, I just want to reiterate, I think this guy's gonna win, but again, like you probably noticed in the last Battle of the Blades video, things can change. Except they didn't in the last video, but they kind of, we almost changed. But anyways, here we go. Man, that was like silent. Shh. I'm trying to hear the carrot. Okay, what do? We do the tip isn't as important on a Nakiri, but holy moly, look at that. Really nice food release on this guy as well. There's some stuck together boys there, but that's probably my fault, not the knife's fault. Push cut feels amazing. Pull cut feels amazing. Food release is pretty darn good, I gotta say. Sometimes you'll find like you gotta like pry carrots off when you're cutting with the knife, but this guy, they're coming off pretty nice and easy. Jake wants me to do 1 inch off of this carrot through the fattest part. Let's see how she performs. Pretty good. Pretty good. That felt nice. Okay, ultimate carrot test right through the middle here. Pretty good. Yeah, that felt really nice. I will say, because of the height of the blade, it was a little tough to get this happening, but not too bad. That felt fantastic. You're getting a little sticky there, but I don't have to do two at the same time. Yeah, food release is not bad. It's not like flying off the blade, obviously, but it's not like sticking on there too bad. And the other thing that you'll notice most with bad food release, especially when you're doing carrots, is they'll have a tendency to sort of like that sort of bunch up towards your index finger. And then if the food release is really bad on your blade, it'll put pressure on your finger, which is not nice, but I'm not getting that with this guy, so that's a good thing. Yeah, it feels fantastic. I mean, like I said, I use this knife all the time. It's my go-to Nakiri at home, so I'm quite comfortable with it. And this, you know, obviously my one at home is not brand new anymore, so this definitely feels better than my used one at home. But yeah, look at that, no problem whatsoever. Really nice. This guy's got a pretty nice flat profile to it. It does have a little bit of a curve up at the tip, so you can do quite a bit of rocking with it. But I'm not getting any. Some Nakiris, like the profile on them does not lend itself well to like what you would actually want to use it for, which is that push cut. They can be a little too curvy, but this guy's definitely got a nice balance between being slightly curvy enough to do some rock chopping with it, but not so curvy that when you're doing your push cuts, you're ending up with a bunch of like stuck together stuff. So I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, and look at that. Very nice. Very nice Brunoise carrot. Not sure when you would ever Brunoise a carrot like this, especially if you're cooking at home, but hey, certainly shows off the nice geometry on this knife. So very happy with that. Really good performance on the carrot here. Carrot being one of the more difficult ingredients to cut with any knife, so I suspect the onion and the scallions are going to be no problem with this guy as well. Yoshimi Kato Kurouchi with Algami Super Stainless Cladding Nakiri Carrot Test. Here we go. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, and like Jake said, we'll do one right through the middle. Big fat part of the carrot right here. Very nice. I mean, you're not quite as nice as that Shiro Kamo there. I feel like with the extra blade height on that guy and how thin it is, the edge geometry is pretty spectacular on that. Like it's very gradual. The angle in from the shinogi into the cutting edge is on that guy like almost non-existent. It's very nice cutting feel on this guy. I don't want to take anything away from the Yoshimi Kato Nakiri here because it feels really nice. It definitely has a slightly nicer feel in the hand because of the fit and finish on it. It's a little more nicely sanded down at the spine and in the choil, so it really feels a little bit better in that regard. Food release, as you can tell, carrots flying all over the place, is a little bit better on this guy also. Nothing's really sticking to it at all. Yeah, real nice. We'll go right down the middle on this guy. Woo! At first I was a little worried about that. I thought it wasn't going to perform super well at that test, but man, it just went through. I mean, you guys saw it went through no problem. Look at that. That's very nice. Food release on this guy is definitely making it easier to do these two carrots at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, this guy feels really nice when you're doing like more than one carrot at a time here. Feels great. Okay. Brunoise test, here we go. Very nice. It's like I said, it's definitely a little chunkier than that guy is because it's not quite as thin. Still feels fantastic though. Edge retention on both of these guys is probably going to be pretty similar as well because they're both Algami Super. This guy here, you might have to thin a little bit sooner than you might the Shiro Kamo there. But of course, when they're both brand new, they're both really, really nice. Yeah. A little more neat on this Brunoise test, so we'll see if we can get all these in here. Yeah, that's nice. Well, it's going to be a hard battle here, I think. It's going to be another one right down to the wire, because that felt fantastic also. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say again, for different reasons. They're both performing super well at the carrot. The Shiro Kamo, again, just going through like the thicker part of the carrot when we took off that big nub and going through the middle felt a little bit better than this guy, but the food release on this guy is definitely better than on the Shiro Kamo. So pretty neck and neck here going into the final knife on our carrot test. Mazaki Kurouchi Nakiri 165mm carrot test. Here we go. Okay. Do the chunky part. I mean, that felt fantastic. I'm not gonna. Man, I am delightfully surprised. I was a little nervous that I was gonna have to say a negative thing about a knife for the first time in the Battle of the Blades, and but I don't. Like it's quite something about these thick knives that I always worry about is that they're gonna, you know, not the edge geometry is not gonna be really nice on them. They're gonna be like too thick and kind of wedge things as we go through. But I'm not finding that with this knife at all right now. It's feeling really good. Okay, we're gonna go right through the middle of this guy now. Whoa. Here we go. There we go. Take a little more off. Here we go.
That was quiet.
Again, we've got Jake's eyebrows at level 4 out of 5, I would say there. Food release looks really nice. Feels great. I'm pleasantly surprised on this guy. Again, I was a little skeptical coming in here on this test. I was a little worried that the Mazaki might get. I shouldn't have doubted him though. I don't know what I was thinking. This stupid gauge. This feels fantastic. Food release is on par, if not. Would you say from visually, is it better in terms of food release or? So one of the things that makes Mazaki-san's knives so special is that he does everything from start to finish. He forge welds the iron to the core steel. He you know, shapes them and sharpens them and then finishes them all on natural stones before he sends them to us. So the edge on these guys is probably more like convex, if anything.
Yeah, they're pretty flat.
They're pretty, yeah.
But like.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Jake makes a great point. So the hollow ground knives, if you're gonna thin them out, they're gonna take a little doing because if they're hollow, you're gonna have to work out the high spot and the low spot on your bevel. These guys, that's already been done for you. So thinning these guys out over the life of the knife is gonna be easier, yeah. And not take as much work. So not only is the food release really nice already, but we both suspect that the food release will remain really, really good on this knife through the through the knife of the life, through the life of the knife. Yeah, really, really nice feel on this guy. Hard to pick a winner here. I would say though that I would probably pick the Mazaki or the Shiro Kamo over the Kato for this particular test. So all three were fantastic. Little half points for the Shiro Kamo and Mazaki, and quarter point for the Kato. And we didn't do a Brunoise, so let me do a little. Like, yeah, this guy is freaking crazy. It's I always have this misconception that like these chunky knives are not gonna go through that, like, but that's crazy. Look at that. You know? Don't you know? Yeah, this, you know, like sometimes certain knives just have like a certain little je ne sais quoi. I definitely am feeling that about this here Mazaki. It's gonna be a real tight battle here. I was thinking the Shiro, like, you know, the Shiro Kamo being my favorite Nakiri at the moment, was gonna have no problems dispatching these other knives, but this Mazaki feels especially amazing. Let's do a little, you can definitely still rock with it a little bit. The Mazaki's got the flattest profile of the three. So if you're looking to use your Nakiri in the way that it was intended, which is just for the push and pull and up and down, I would say the Mazaki is gonna be to your liking. Already getting a little bit of patina going on it. Yeah, very reactive knives. You said, I mean, I'm being pretty diligent wiping stuff down already right now, but yeah, and it wiped off. We were just getting a little orangey stain. There is a little orangey stain on the iron cladding here, but nothing crazy. Moving on. Shiro Kamo 165 Nakiri Scallion Test. This is, we feel that this test is going to tell us the most about the profile or curvature of the blade. Is it going to work like a Nakiri is intended to work? So when I do just my normal push and pull chopping motion, how many little choo-choo trains am I going to end up with here? That will be the test. So I'll just get everything. Yeah, feeling fantastic. Really, really nice. I'm not ending up with really any choo-choo trains. Oh, I lied. This is pretty typical for me though. I don't know if it's the knife's fault. It might just be my fault, but I tend to toward when it close to me on the scallions, I tend to have a couple little choo-choo trains happening there. That's not totally out of the norm for me. But aside from that, the blade again, I find like especially with like leafy greens, the thinner blades, even though this is not leafy green at all, but you know what I'm trying to say. Really, really nice, and these guys hold their edge a long time. They get super sharp, like no pressure whatsoever, and I'm going through no problem. As you get into the white parts on here, things can get a little more dicey, but I'm having no issues whatsoever. Yeah. Yeah, that felt fantastic. No choo-choo trains, really. Nothing, nothing crazy happening here. Very nice scallion rounds there. Scallions for days. That's true. This is a very effective scoop. Look how much scoopage I can do with this guy. Crazy scoop. What weight of scallion can we scoop with each knife? Yoshimi Kato, Aogami Super, Nakiri, Scallion Test. Here we go. Making it worse. Yeah, very, very similar to the Shiro Kamo. Really, really nice cutting feel here. Anytime you're using any knife, you really want to try to get as much of that forward and backward motion happening as much as you're going up and down as well. So yeah, when I concentrate on that, this knife really performs well. I'm getting, like, I can't find any choo-choo trains here. So yeah, that does tell us a good, you know, it's a pretty nice flat profile here. So if you're using it in this sort of motion, I think you're going to be really happy with it. Getting through the whites here, no problem as well. Yeah, that feels super nice. Super sharp, not losing any sort of bite off of the edge through the entirety of those scallions as well. So that's something you'll notice maybe on some of the not so awesome knives is even through like one bunch of scallions, you're going back to the honing rod or you need to touch her up on the stones. But this guy didn't lose any sort of like little bite to it that it had going through. No real choo-choo trains or anything. Felt really nice in the hand. So yeah, top marks for the Kato-san on the Scallion Test as well. Mazaki 165 millimeter Nakiri Scallion Test. Here we go. Oh, that didn't go so well. I think that was my fault though. Yeah, a little bit my fault, a little bit the knife. Kind of getting a little sticky there. That was interesting. Yeah, no sticky bits together. I will say though, if this knife had a little certain je ne sais quoi on the carat test, it has lost that certain something on the scallions here. That's not fair because that's an old gross scallion bit there. Going through the whites very well. I shouldn't say. You might notice I'm slipping off just a touch. That might just be because the edge on this guy isn't the greatest right now. Maybe just with a little touch on a stone, it would come back to life a bit better. But yeah, I don't know. Something about this is not performing on the scallions as well as those other two knives did. But it was certainly like one of my favorites for the carats. So that was really surprising. Yeah. Definitely no choo-choo trains though. Again, this guy's got like the flattest profile on it. So yeah, still really good at the up and down. And honestly, like you can't really complain about that. Like it still did an awesome job. But just when compared to those other two knives, it just was missing a little certain something. I don't know. Onion test with the Mazaki 165 millimeter Kurouchi Nakiri. Here we go. Very nice. I mean, if there's anything that this knife is going to be good at cutting, it's going to be julienne onions like that. Really flat profile. Super sharp, really nice edge geometry. Whatever it was lacking on the green onions, it's now gotten back on these yellow onions. Super sharp, feels really nice. I always, I'm starting to come around to these sort of thicker, chunkier knives. They really, especially when you're using that up and down chopping motion, they really make things feel really easy. So that was very enjoyable. I really liked that. So yeah, Mazaki, good, very good performance on the julienne onion. Okay, little dicing an onion test. Not typically what you would use a Nakiri for, but I feel like it'll tell us a good amount about the tip of the knife here. Oh yeah. That was real nice. I don't know why you're not supposed to use one of these to dice. Yeah, very nice. The tip on this guy is really nice and thin. I got through those radial cuts really nicely. And actually, you know, it's funny. I got pretty close to the root on that, and I wonder if that's a little cheat code there for dicing onions. Use your Nakiri for that. Even though it doesn't have the tip on it, you still get really close to the root there. I don't think I've ever done that before, so that was cool. Interesting. Yoshimi Kato onion test. Here we go. That was real nice. That was a sweet peel. Where's that during our onion chopping world record, eh? Yeah, I mean, again, hard to make any negative commentary about this. Really sharp, really nice edge geometry. Profile's real nice. Got a really nice weight in the hand. Going through that onion, no problem. I guess I would say if you don't like the super chunky knives, but you don't like the super thin knives, this guy's kind of right in between. Really nice cutting feel. Again, this one probably has the nice feel in the hand, just, you know, not like cutting or anything, but just holding it because of how nicely the choil and spine are sanded down, and really high performing knife. So if you like something sort of in between in terms of chunkiness, I think this guy's going to be a really great option for you. Yeah, performed really well at the Julienne. Let's do a little dice here with this bad boy. Yeah, and yeah, look at that. That was sweet. Yeah, I would say, I can't say that it was tremendously better than the Mazaki, but it might be a little thinner at the tip there. I don't know. They both felt really good at those radial cuts. Both felt really nice at the cross cuts there at the end as well. Really nice. Onion test. Shiro Kamo 165mm Nakiri. Here we go. Oh yeah, and there it is. Definitely reminding me why I chose this as my favorite Nakiri. I love the blade height on it. Really makes me feel like I'm in more control. It makes me feel a little more comfortable. Super sharp. Let's see how the tip does though.
Does have a super like rocky tip.
It does have a super rocky tip, so I'm interested to see how that translates into the dice here. So let's give her a shot. Yeah, I gotta say, it didn't quite fly through as nicely as the other two, but I found what it lacked in edge geometry or like going through there, it kind of made up for it with the height of the blade. I felt really in control and really comfortable. Yeah, so maybe on the tip, the other two were a little bit better, but again, I chose this knife for a reason. I find like the super tall blade on it really just makes it so special, and you know, it definitely is a little rough around the edges in terms of the edges on the spine and the choil, like a little leaves a little to be desired there. So like feel on the hand definitely goes to the Kato Nakiri. Comfort and control for my personal taste, I really liked the Shiro Kamo. Food release on the Mazaki was insane, and it really performed well at the carrot test. So all three were super high performing knives. I would be stoked with all three of them. They all performed really well at all the tests. Little sort of things that made one slightly better than the others in each test, but I think I'm sticking with the Shiro Kamo as my favorite.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, let us know down below in the comment section what shape you want us to do next and which three knives you want us to compare. We could redo the Gyuto or the Nakiri if you'd like, or we could do a brand new shape for the next one. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to our channel for more knife related content. Until the next one, stay sharp.